I can't touch this because there's no butter on it.
And you shall enjoy the process. I'm going to admit being a little bit absolutely perfect.
The sun hasn't risen yet. It's about 6:30.
Shower squared away.
Oh, the size of the fucking bike, Clare, that's half gone.
Absolutely roasting in this suit. We are ready to. Okay, we are back.
Sourdough bread. You did when you were good, they'd be baking you stuff. When you were bad, they'd be slapping you on the backside with it.
They're amazing. Just a quick trip to Cove. Behind this hedge you can see a great big boat. Clear now.
This way?
No, there's a red one coming.
Evening, folks. It's not morning, it's evening, so very little this week. I'd say it's going to be quite a short session. We went out, we got a lot of material for the second project, which is coming along after this house. Stay tuned. But now I'm back in the bedroom, ready to get this shower squared away. I've attached the shower itself. Shortly I'm going to put this on and do a final leak test and keep every single finger crossed. Right now I am just going to start to assemble the enclosure, figure out which holes I need to drill, and hopefully this all works. I shall put you on a little bit of a time lapse and you shall enjoy the process. So I got a little bit of grout down here, which is making it crowd. The enclosure isn't flush with the tiles, so I'm just going to chisel that off a little bit, smooth it up on both sides, and hopefully it'll line up better. Okay folks, I'm going to admit being a little bit blasé. I didn't think I needed the instructions. I'm pretty good with this sort of thing. I've disassembled my old shower in the last house numerous times. I thought this would be simple to put together, but I'm completely lost. And I lost the instructions last week, or rather, I put the instructions somewhere safe that I can't remember. So, what I got here, 4 panes of glass, all the little seals, that's all fine, but I have no idea how I'm putting this curvy piece together with this bit. So I reckon this is going to be all I get done today, annoyingly so. I'll let you see what happens. I'll have another look for the instructions because I'm completely lost. Here we have it, quadrant done. It was tricky, wasn't the worst. Didn't really line up as I was hoping. I had hoped that the tiles would be this is kind of a bit scrappy tile work, but I thought that this would stretch. It was a little bit shorter than we expected, and with the walls bending in and out on both sides, it lifted the bottom a bit. It didn't quite line up, but I'm quite happy with that job. It's a very nice little quadrant. It leaves lovely space here for some sort of a piece of furniture for towels, and a section down the bottom for a laundry basket. And over here, I think here is going to have a lot more shelves and some sort of a dresser. and more shelves on top. So for a small room, it's actually quite functional. A lot of storage, a lot of potential. So that's the last of the main things that I'm going to install. I need to fix the tiles. I need to fix a sort of a backboard splash back there. I need to do some sockets, another socket over here. I need to do a few more switches. I think maybe I've 1 day left in here. 1 day really. And then Clare is practically finished in here. So I reckon as soon as I finish in that room, I might come in here, but the only thing I have to do in here is to put 2 sockets in. So another thing I have to do is make doors. So I guess I might stay in this room a bit longer and make the doors. So we'll see how it goes. Tomorrow I'm gonna get stuck into the doors and the electrical stuff, and you will see that Wednesday, I think. Hey folks, we're delighted to let you know that our limited edition Rooney Red Setter postcards are now available. If you would like your Rooney approved postcards, head below to our Ko-fi store where you can pick up one and get a secret message from us. If you would also like our original West Cork Wonder Farmhouse postcards, get them at the same store, but hurry, prints are limited.
The time has come for the honey harvest. It's an amazing day. The weather is wonderful. I'm going to put on these little contraptions. They are called bee escapes, with the plan that tonight all the bees will go down to their main home in the brood box, and they will not be able to crawl back into the honey supers. Then tomorrow morning I must be up at sunrise to collect the supers, as they will be empty and ready to go. So it's been about 3 weeks now since I've been down to visit the bees. The reason for that is because we were hoping that a new queen would become newly established in this hive. Gosh, it's absolutely roasting in this suit. So I'm hoping that now it'll be lovely to be able to see her, but we'll see what we come across today, what mood they're in. Okay. So here we go. We all seem quite happy. In and out. Let's open up and see what's going on. They need a new brood box. If I get a chance before the winter really sets in, I will change this box out. It's the box they came in, so it's their original home. So I'm not too bothered about changing it out, but they do need a new box. So of course, just as I was putting the escape hatches on, supers that I want to take away in the morning, I realized that I wasn't filming. The board is now here. It's this one, and I have left the brood box and one super that's kind of like, there's nothing going on in this one, this fourth super. They didn't do anything in this, so I've given them that just to give them a bit more space. There's a hell of a lot of bees in this hive and I don't have another brood box, so I've just decided to just give them another super for tonight. So they'll go into this, the one-way doors as it were are here. So they'll be in here today working away, and then they'll go down into the main brood box and into this super, these 2 boxes, and they won't be able to go back up. That's the hope. I have patched up all the holes here for tomorrow and stuffed some grass in here because there was a gaping hole here. So tomorrow morning when I come down, I will lock them in initially by stuffing this with foam. Take the 3 supers away, and then when I have the car ready to go, I will run back and remove the foam. That's the plan. I will try and film that first thing in the morning. Okay, back at the hive. The sun hasn't risen yet. It's about 6:30, so I'm hoping that my bees are all still in bed. I can see a few floating around. They don't really get up until mid-morning, at least until the sun is up higher in the sky. We're going to run over and see if we can take the honey boxes without too much trouble. I'm hoping that there isn't too many bees left in the supers, but all will be revealed. Let's see. Oh my golly, they're after me. As soon as I blocked up the hole, I just had a tiny little bit left of foam to put in, and there was just, they all just started piling out. So as I was stuffing in the foam, they were piling out, so I just continued to stuff. I'd say maybe 100 or so got out. So, but we got the honey supers. They're in the car, and I'm just going to make sure I have everything away from the hive before I open it up, because they're going to come straight after me for stealing their honey. Supplies back in the car. There doesn't seem to be any bees in the supers. I'm absolutely delighted. They're just in there in the back on a clean towel because I couldn't find any plastic. And so yes, now time to release the bees. I think I'm going to put you down for this because I need to race back to the car super quickly. So see you in a minute. Alright, so it's time to install or put together my extractor. It's here in the box, and I'm going to try and set it up here, maybe on this coffee table, and hopefully see how it goes. We are ready.
I'm waiting.
To harvest. We are ready to harvest the honey. Box number 1. Here is my magic machine set up on top of the coffee table. So I think I'll just put you on the stand and let's see what happens. So first of all, we have to decap the frame. This is my special knife. So the idea is to kind of, I actually should have made a proper thing for this, but anyway, is to be able to just cut down through, I think, like this.
Lots of yum yums.
She does it really easily. I suppose because it's so warm.
I would have made you one of those pieces of wood to go across the top with the hole for this, you know?
Yeah.
Alex
okay.
has one. Wow, look at that. It's pretty awesome, the different colour honey, like that's really golden and that's really like transparent.
Yeah, it's quite golden.
Do you have the scraper thing?
Yeah.
She wants to do all of them.
I'm gonna put it this way around, but 1 in. Right, we're on our second super, and we've got incredibly good at this. Look at that. Not an ounce left.
Pretty empty.
So it's not a case of having it like going crazy fast, because it pulls the wax out and destroys the frames. The whole idea with this, I don't think I ever explained this, but the whole idea of these is that next year these can be filled immediately with honey by the bees, and they don't have to make all of this. So this is why these have to be kept as intact as possible, so that next year the bees have an easier job. So I've just uncapping this one. Sometimes the cap is like too far kind of shallow, and so then I have to use this little this kind of massive fork thing just to open them. Again though, trying not to pull too much of the comb out. And then we've one more box left.
What the hell?
The bees kind of got a bit carried away with this one, and they created like a mega frame.
It's like a sandwich.
Yeah.
So this is where Claire cuts the wax off, but there's actually quite a lot of honey down the bottom. So we have been dipping in a little bit of our sourdough bread. You do get a little bit of wax on it, but
Yeah, you see it.
that was unbelievable. I got one for Claire. Here you go.
Amazing.
We're almost ready also to start jarring them. We might get that onto that next. One more super, and I'd say we'll start. Put them into jars. We come back to that. No, the problem is that the frames are hitting the honey at the bottom. So we have too much honey in this pot. We have to remove it, right? No, just you can move it as soon as you open it up. Oh well, no preamble there.
What are you meant to do with this?
That's pretty cool. You're gonna have to close it as it gets to the top.
I'll close it now.
Yeah, okay.
This is going to take a while. Yeah, should have been doing this all along.
Yes.
Anyway, I should be able to keep going because there'll still be a bit of weight in it.
Oh yeah.
And I get all the honey out anyway.
Oh yeah, it's clearing the bottom. Oh no, well, it should be okay. What do you think, Claire?
It's awesome. Absolutely awesome. There's a bit of a process in it, but once you find your way, we're okay. We didn't splash out and get an electric one because you only have like one hot honey from one hive, and this is actually really good. I wouldn't fault it at all. Would you, Rob?
No. Seems good. What's happening?
So we're on super number 3, and for this super, oh my god, they're very perfect, aren't they? We used Hoffman frames because I ran out of supers, and I used a sort of a recycled box. So they're just different frames, that's all. They're not as fat as the manly ones. So we go again. We are having difficulty because we should have started straining much earlier, because the straining is what seems to take the time, and the bottoms of the frames are dragging on the honey when I go to spin. So we didn't anticipate this, but so we really didn't know. So it's all trial and error, but it's going well. There's a lot of honey to come out of it. So it's now 8:30, and we are still straining. Straining out of the extractor. We finished the spinning of all the frames, and this is just a very slow process, but it is working. And so what we've got, like a slow drip going on here, and then it's dripping into the bucket about the same speed. So it's working well, isn't it, Rob?
Yeah, it's definitely a learning experience, and there's lots to...
Yeah, like I was kind of very stressed out about this morning when I went down at 6:30. Like, I've never done anything like this before, and I was
that stressed with that.
Terrified that I'd be eaten alive, which, as you can see by the video, they were pretty lively. And I didn't show the section when I left because they were, when I pulled out the foam from the bottom of the hive, they were just dive bombing me left, right and centre. But at that stage I just jumped in the car in my suit and drove home. But the whole process took about half an hour just to grab the supers. But we're good, we're happy. It's incredible. It's like liquid gold going into this bucket. And we did have a bucket. We have another bucket here, which we're going to, once it's all strained, we'll use this as the bucket that we put a tap on this one, so that then we can fill the jars. So I didn't have one of these, so we had to buy these taps and then put it onto these buckets. These obviously have to be food grade buckets. Everything has to be sterilized and everything, so there's an awful lot in it, but I think it will be well worth it. And I'll be really interested just to see at the end of this just how much we have extracted from that one hive. So that's it for the evening. I guess it's back to painting tomorrow. Okay, we are back in the middle room upstairs painting. So nearly there. I've half of it done. I've the other half to finish, and then it's straight into Ashton's room to finish his plastering. So it's slow, but it's getting there. We had a good weekend. We were away for a night, which makes a change. We had to pick up some scaffolding as well from Rob's parents, so it was good. We got that done, and we actually were out this morning, so that's why I still haven't got this done. Sometimes you just have to do all these things, and tonight then I have a fucking school meeting, so I've got to go to that in Skull. So it's all go, busy, while I keep spraying this.
Good morning, guys. It's about 7:30. It's a crazy early one. We're just back from a walk. A few people have asked about the bread we do since I showed the spelt loaf the last time. I thought I might just explain to you how we do it. There's kind of 3 stages to our bread. So I have started using spelt because whilst my family aren't celiac, I think we have a little bit of gluten intolerance. A little bit of bread is fine. Too much bread and or too much flour really, and that might be store-bought bread, pizza, I don't know, cake or pastry. Too much of that, a little bit's fine. Too much of it and our stomachs aren't good. So we started to look at spelt recently, and it's been very good. We can eat as much as we like of it. We don't eat that much, but we can eat as much as we like, and it's absolutely perfect. And then what we've also done a little bit further is to not use yeast and to use sourdough, and it's a little bit of a hassle, but I think it's much better for you. And it starts off with the sourdough starter. So the last thing I do before I go to bed is I mix in a little bit of feed into this. So I'll use it in the morning. I'll empty the whole contents, I'll show you in a minute, the whole contents into a bowl, and there's enough starter in there to get things going again at night time. So that's how I kind of start the process at night. I make the starter, I leave it up here on the windowsill, and in the morning we're ready to go for bread. I'll just show you the process. We have a mixing bowl, the weighing scales, I zero it. There's about 100 grams of starter in there. I'm going to start off with about 250 grams. Apologies in advance, guys, it's very early and I'm very tired. I'm basically just going to empty the whole contents of this into the water. You can see now that's fairly empty, but there's enough kind of growth in there that when I add the starter tonight, it'll just take off again. I'm gonna put this in the fridge, just gonna make it dormant so this won't continue to grow. Now, what we got left in here is the water and sourdough starter. Just gonna mix that up until it becomes cloudy. We use this white spelt and it's 1 kilo. If I add 450 grams into this now, I will keep 50 grams for the starter tonight, and that's half a packet. And then tomorrow I'll make another loaf for 450 grams of flour and 50 for the starter tonight. So it kind of works out for us. And I'm gonna go for about half. And then all I'll do, spelt I think I mentioned before, that you can use a kind of a fold and pull technique instead of kneading it. But just to get it started, just mixing like this seems fine. We just want to make sure all of the flour off the side is in and give it a little bit of a stir every 30 minutes for the next hour or so. And then basically I will let this rest overnight. Now I've done it in the morning just to show you. I would usually make this at about 4 o'clock. Every hour or so I'll just give it a knead. In the evening then I will empty this into one of the Bannatyne containers. This sort of a wicker container. And what that'll do is that'll kind of shape it and allow it to prove what's taking out moisture. I find if I let the sourdough kind of rise in a bowl like this, it just sticks to the side. So these containers are very good. So when you come down in the morning, that's kind of what you're looking at. So I'm gonna cook that now. I'm gonna cover this up and I'll maybe cook this in the afternoon. And we'll now pop the bread into the oven. Full whack, which is about 260 degrees in this, for about 35 minutes. Now, once the bread comes out, I'm gonna use the residual heat to make some fresh Irish scones. They'd be lovely to have in the afternoon as a break from work. We're testing a lot of things. Last night, we made some nice apple pie and also some cinnamon caramel stewed apples. They're really good. So this is a traditional Irish scone recipe, and it was taught to my mum when my mum was in school. They kind of taught, I don't know what it was called then, it was like home economics now, but they taught girls, I think, sewing and baking and stuff. And it would have been a very old sort of, how would you say, an old Irish mammy that taught this recipe. And it's really simple. If you can remember 1, 2, 3, 4, you can make scones. So let's go with that. 400 grams of flour. And I've never made these with spelt flour before, so hopefully it's okay. We take 3 spoons of baking powder, teaspoons. We take 200 grams of butter, but I'll do that in a minute. We're going to do 100 grams of sugar. So that's 400 flour, 3 teaspoons of baking powder, 200 grams of butter, and 100 gram of caster sugar. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the butter in Ireland is probably the same for you guys, has it has 25 gram increments on the side, so 200 grams is pretty easy to check. 199. Part of it being a traditional Irish recipe is that you would normally, especially on the weekends, if your mum wasn't working, you'd always come down to bacon every morning. Things were done fresh. If your mum was working, it would be on the weekends and that stuff. But you would usually, in an traditional Irish household, you'd wake up to the smell of baking in the morning. So that's something that we want to get back to as well, and kind of limit the sort of foods that we purchase. So we're looking for little lumps of butter about that size. So you got to be careful not to handle it too much, or you will melt it. This has to be cold, this butter. Now it makes sense to add the sugar first. Some people you'll see, they don't add the sugar when they make scones until the end. The sugar actually acts as an abrasive sort of sandpaper to help with the next stage. It looks like a lot of butter, but Irish scones are buttery. So what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna coat this. It's gonna help stop it sticking to your fingers. And you wanna make kind of a crumble. You wanna get a little bit of flour, a little bit of butter, and you want to start to squeeze them together and even to rub them together. If you made a crumble, you'll know exactly what this is. We're going to be making these scones with nothing in it. I think that's probably the way I would have had them growing up. You can have them completely different all over the country. Everybody makes their own version of traditional Irish scones. But if you have nice produce, like we got great honey now from Clare, we got great jam that we've started to make. We're just testing a few recipes. And you know, the flavors then speak for the scones. We don't need to add anything. But scones, traditionally you'd find them with raisins, sometimes with orange peel. You would find them with maybe some dried fruit. Some places you might find them with cherry. Some more modern places you can find scones with raspberry, blueberry, and even you can get savory scones with like spinach or something in it. But for us, we're going to keep it simple. Simple is best in this scenario. You guys have given us some really amazing suggestions of things to cook. I want to thank you for that. It's been brilliant for us to cook it, especially the more traditional ones. I love when you guys will make a suggestion for something traditional, because it kind of takes us down memory lane. It's really nice for us. And we always say it, we don't make the traditional food often enough. You know, I think you go through that in your life where you eat so much traditional Irish food from the Irish mummy and grandparents that you hit your 20s and 30s, you start experimenting with Italian, Greek, or French, and then you hit your 40s and later, and you're just taken back. So here we have a very nice scone, sort of a mix. There are still some lumps of butter, which could be broken down a bit, but to be honest, there's not that many. I say overall we're looking good. So continuing, we've come down 400 grams flour, 3 teaspoons baking powder, 200 grams butter, 100 grams sugar. We're going to go back up now with 1 egg and maybe 200 grams of milk. So throw 1 egg in there, boom, and I'm not sure I want all the 200. I'm gonna bring it up to 200. So with the egg, that's maybe 150 mil. The reason I'm doing that is I'm not terribly sure how the spelt is going to react. Do I need more? Do I need less? So I'm just gonna add a bit. Actually, there's a lot there, I'm gonna add the whole lot. See how we go. So this is where your hands are gonna get dirty. Again, we just wanna start to try and form this into a bit of a dough. I have a wooden spoon. This is synonymous in Ireland with Irish mammies. When you were good, they'd be baking you stuff. And when you're bad, they'd be slapping you on the backside with it. If you're ever bad, in America, it's like, if you're bad, I'll tell your dad about it. But in Ireland, it's like, if you're bad, I'll get the wooden spoon. Kids were as good as gold at that point. Happy memories. I've never used a wooden spoon. I think I threatened my daughter with it once, and she was like, go on, I dare ya. And so, it's a generational thing. It doesn't really work with our generation. Yeah, I'd say this mix is a little bit wet. Bit of parchment. Okay. Now, what you should do, folks, you should have kind of a cutter to make lovely circles, but I don't have that. So I'm just going to make some cool shapes, which ain't sort of traditional at all, I suppose. Actually, I'll show you what they used to do traditionally in Ireland. This is probably a big one, but they had a small glass like that. It's straight you want it. This is tapered, so this is not going to work, but they used to just get it off like that. You just pop it out then. There you have, sure, maybe I'll finish it off like that. There you have your traditional Irish scone. You can get the metal cookie cutters, but if you listen, this is kind of cool. The air actually pops it out and you can see the dust going, so. And this is also a tradition. The youngest in the house got the ball, so you just wouldn't mangle up a huge pile of the dough at the end. And there, that's what the youngest of the house would get. So technically, kids are at school. There's only myself and Clare left. So I guess that makes me the youngest. I guess I'll be getting the ball again, eh? Now there's no starter in these, so they're not going to rise. However, there is baking powder in it, so as soon as the heat hits it, they will pop up a little bit. Just gonna use my egg and milk mixture. I'm just gonna add a little bit more milk. And this is gonna get a really cool kind of a glaze on them. So guys, let me know in the comments below, what sort of scones did you guys have growing up? Did anyone have anything really unusual? I think that spinach one is a little bit weird. I don't think I could do a spinach scone. Currants, yeah, sometimes I'm in the mood for something fruity, but I like to do my own toppings. And then, if you want to get really fancy, the tiniest little bit of sugar on the top just to give it a bit of a crunch. There you go. Some traditional Irish scones. I'm going to pop this in the fridge just until I wait for the bread to be done. I'm going to have a shower and come back. Actually guys, I'm just siding up, but I'll have a shower in a minute. I just checked the time on the bread just to make sure I had time for a shower, and it's like there's 13 minutes left. So the bread was done, I just banged it in the oven. It's been cooking 20 minutes, and that 20 minutes we just made some nice scones. Like, I think this whole homesteading buzz, for want of a better word, like nobody called it homesteading when I was a kid. It was just like, that was just life. You just looked after your family, you made healthy food, that was it. You didn't have money to do anything too fancy. But what it means is that it doesn't take a lot of time. All it needs is a little bit of organization, and you can have the most amazing homemade tasting food that you can possibly get, and you will save a fortune, because everything I'm making, like a loaf of bread now, it's at like €5. Artisan, kind of like organic sourdough bread, €5. You get 4 scones for maybe about €3-4. I'm gonna have 12, like I made €10 worth of food for, I don't know what that would even be, €2 to €3 worth of ingredients. I mean, I know where I'd be spending my money. Shower time. Right, just getting out of the shower. It was beeping. Let's have a look. There you have it. Some fresh bread. How about that? It seems someone has come in with shitballs. I spilt them. With quite a few tomatoes. So we just pick this out. That means that doesn't really need to be cleaned. Just parchment every day. Parchment off. Bread looking lovely. Bread sounding great. And just gonna wrap this up. Claire's gonna want a hot slice in a minute, but if you can, you should leave that for about 40 minutes just to cool down. Now the oven is at 220 degrees. I wanted 160 for about 15 minutes, so I'm gonna cool it down a bit. This is an ancient Irish technique. And then for Clare's coffee, we're gonna throw in a few of her favoritist scones.
Favoritist.
Like this. Look at that. We set the timer for 15. Get that down. Boom! Get in my belly. We'll come back. Look at that, guys. Some steamy bread. Amazing. That's the rest of yesterday's bread just being toasted. Having some boiled eggs. Breakfast of champions. Nice. I had a dream last night that they all died from lack of watering.
Blackberries is down as well.
Wow. Right. So here are our scones. I reckon the spelt made the mix maybe a little bit wetter. So if you're using plain flour, it should work. If you're changing the flour, I think you might have to adjust it. And so these were wet, so they grew out. Normally a scone will grow up. This is a pretty perfect scone here. Nice base, nice top. These were a little bit too big, so I'm going to bang them back in the oven. Although the bottom is pretty good on them, the top is still just a bit soft. Let's go! Right. Oh, dearie me. So now, I have a cup of tea over there for my breakfast. We're going to have one of the most contentious issues in any Irish household. Is what are you putting on your scone? Gonna try it with this fella. Oh, it's very crumbly. The spelt flour is quite delicate. So, I am very much a man that likes a lot of different flavors. So on one side of my scone, I like to put butter. On the other side, actually, did we say this already? Did I do a scone already, Clare? On the other side, I like to put jam. Clare is a weird sort of a creature. She likes to mix the two together. That's not my cup of honey. Oh gosh, they taste good. The spelt is really powdery, Clare. It's weird. You know, it doesn't have the gluten to hold it all together. So it makes it real crumbly. So folks, in my mind, that is a thing of beauty. So you're sitting down, you're having your tea, you're like, oh, let me try a bit of butter. I was like, oh yeah, that's lovely. You have another sup of tea, and you're like, this time I'm going to try a little bit of jam. Mmm, delicious. Whereas people like Clare, she just mangled the whole lot together, so it's all going down the same way, and it's not like me, seasoned. I have an exquisite taste. I like a bit of this, a bit of that. Ain't that right, Clare? Let's give Clare a little taste. Hold it. Do your hair. Now, Clare, because you're on camera, you're being forced to have either butter or jam.
I can't touch this.
Why?
Because there's no butter on it. There is just no way I could have jam without butter underneath it. So I'll just have to have this one.
Do you want your...
Oh, the size of the fucking bite, Claire. That's half gone. Jesus.
Wow. They're amazing.
But they're gone. Like, that was my one scone I was having.
Oh my god, I'm sure you can make another.
Well, I got 10 in the oven, like. Jesus.
Please let us know if you have to have butter under your jam. Or whether I'm just really strange.
Do you think there's a deviant that has butter on top of jam? You
No,
never know.
I'm trying to think of what my dad used to have. He'd have butter, jam. Sometimes you'd have something else on top.
Cream.
No, what did they use to mix? Oh, jam and peanut butter.
What?
Exact. Rooney
Jam and peanut
disagrees strongly.
What? Jam and peanut butter.
Anyway, let us know down below. I can't believe you ate half of it. I'm gonna take this far away from Clare and enjoy it. I'll catch you guys later.